You're a professor of criminology, specializing in migration and border security. Under this Liberal government, transnational gangs are finding a home in Canada. Could you please tell us a little bit about how the Liberal government's border policies are responsible for bringing more drugs and gangs into Canada?
This is an excellent question, and thank you for asking it. One of the issues when we think of bail and how this nexus works, when we fail to screen those who come into our country either on temporary or permanent basis, we do not identify, when we don't have the resources to identify the possible reasonably foreseeable threat that some may pose, then we will have individuals in our country who will engage in criminality. When we have the very concerning level of organized crime that has taken root in our country from coast to coast, a lot of these, including cartels from Mexico and elsewhere, when these are the groups that feed on the individuals who are committing the offense. So when we think of where are the drugs coming in from, that these individuals, these poor people that are engaged, we have to address organized crime.
So it sounds to me like you're not just talking about border security, you're talking about the Liberal immigration policy that is responsible in part for these drugs and gangs coming into Canada.
Again, this is one system. So when we have individuals, when we think of criminality, when we have individuals who come to our country with the intent of engaging in criminal enterprise, they are, of course, going to target the most vulnerable in our society. And this is a tragedy for us. So there is a nexus between good immigration policy, good immigration enforcement, and public safety, as well as it relates to bail. Absolutely, and that's why I would urge the committee to consider the notion of who is getting bail, not just on the situation that got them there, but are they a citizen, are they a permanent resident, or are they a visitor? And that's an important consideration.
Thank you, Professor. I want to follow up on this because this is a study not just about bail but sentencing as well.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the fact that we're seeing sentencing decisions right now where judges factor in the residency or immigration status of the accused and are purposely lessening their sentences in order to help their immigration case. I find that to be outrageous.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think it's very it's foolish and it's dangerous and it's unfair. It's unfair. At one point, I do believe we have to consider what does sovereignty mean? What does citizenship mean? And I believe that when we have individuals who come to our country, it is a privilege. We are a great nation. We have the vast majority of those who come abroad and live here are law-abiding, hard-working Canadians. But we have seen, because of lax border security, because of a lack of screening, we have seen a significant criminal element that has taken hold in our country, engaging in the importation and exportation, the export of drugs, and the threat to our communities.
Thank you, Dr. Somberg. And specifically to follow up on my point, I'm not sure if you're familiar with MP Michelle Rempel's Bill 220, which actually seeks to prescribe that a court may not consider, a judge may not consider the immigration status of the accused on sentencing and potentially lessen their sentence in order to not compromise their immigration case. Is that something that you'd be willing to support?
You know, I think when we consider the role of non-citizens in our justice system, we do have to also consider that they have the right to be presumed innocent as well. To this point, though,
I'm sorry, we're talking about sentencing. That means
once
they're already
once they
found.
have been sentenced, we must ensure that non-citizens who are sentenced of crimes in our country, and the Immigration Refugee Protection Act has provisions in it already. The important part is that we enforce those positions. The crazy thing that I think is that there is no connection between the dockets in our courts at the city, in the cities across our country with the immigration department. So you could have individuals who are non-citizens who are sentenced that could fall through the cracks and remain in Canada.
Professor, I'm an immigrant to Canada. I've immigrated to Canada 30 years ago, and I believe this citizenship to be so wonderful. It's like winning the lottery. And if you have an accused that's been convicted, for their sentence to be potentially compromised in order to further their immigration case, I find that to be astonishing and reprehensible.
Next
I
time.
thank you for
Time's
your
up. Thank you.
testimony.